Welcome to Health Tech Heroes, where we talk to innovators who are rewriting the DNA of healthcare. Today, we are excited to welcome Jodie Green, CEO and President of Clinician Burnout Foundation and consultant at Pertexal Health Tech. Jodie is also a founder of Little Dragon Digital and an angel investor focused on healthcare innovation. Jodie, welcome to Health Tech Heroes.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here. I love what you're doing, so this is great.
Thank you very much, Jodie. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you making time and being here with us today. This is about Health Tech Heroes, and I think origin story is really important. And I would love to understand what experiences shaped you. Like, what brought you here to be in health technology leadership position? What was your journey like? What were the critical parts that made you pick this route?
Well, I'll tell you, it's very personal to me. I have a slightly younger brother. He's autistic but high functioning. I recently lost my mother, and she had very severe mental health disorders. And I love them both, and always felt responsible. So from the age of 17, before I even graduated from high school, I became power of attorney and legal guardian. I've always taken care of them. And pre-internet, it was very difficult to find the kinds of practitioners, speech therapists, occupational therapists, particular mental health clinicians before then. And this was also for autism. A lot of physicians were also saying it's mental retardation and just warehouse your brother. And of course, I didn't want to do that. So over time, meeting these amazing people who could give them a quality of life and ultimately help them thrive. And myself as well as a caregiver, though I didn't think about that till I was like in my 30s and, forgot that old put the oxygen mask on yourself first. But I've always had an attitude of gratitude and always regarded them. And so through the course of my career, I've launched several companies, digital health and marketing, and always had a real interest in and a curiosity about what's next, what's coming, and intentionally worked in these spaces. And then eventually became an investor and a director, a board of directors member of Pertexal Health Tech. I'm like leaping forward a bit. And the idea here was wonderful founder here who came from the UK Ministry of Defense and was all about structured data, and came here and realized that there was no structured data in healthcare when people were, ACA had to move from paper charts to electronic health records. There was a glut of really built as billing tools and for coding, for billing, not for practitioners, and just doubled their work hours. And it was all 80% error-filled codes. And so they couldn't get reimbursed. It was just, very horrible. And that was the beginning of burnout. And and even before that, really it started in the year 2000, but it was a little hush-hush. There was fear of malpractice suits. I don't know, I'm theorizing here, but finally COVID, pulled back the curtain. You couldn't hide that anymore. But the suicide rates among physicians has always been twice that of the general population. And now nurses are not far behind. And this is a global phenomenon, obviously, but even, focusing in on the US, and we all know there are shortages, tremendous shortages. There are fewer people enrolling in medical school today. And so I don't want any of us to go back to having leeches. These people are patients too, and they're not thought of that way. They're often treated as automatons, and the expectations are really high. And so after a few years in Pertexal Health Tech, one of the things was it was a NASA algorithm with an Apple-like UX. So as a result, usability and the accuracy, like 85% structured data, super fast. Clinician could do what we're doing, look you in the eye and not just feel like a data entry clerk. Most of the people go to the doctor, you see their ear as they are typing away. And so me directly into health tech innovation, with, getting to see the insides of what these algorithms are and, lifting the cover off, fascinating to me. And then the AI component, and also seeing at first, and we're still seeing it now, we say hallucinations, but it's junk in, junk out. If it's trained on bad data, which at that, it's been, historical data from EHRs, which have 80% error codes, not the best data, right? So it's getting better, but that's where we are today. And then I left because one of the things was this could reduce burnout. And I went out on my own and launched this foundation, the Clinician Burnout Foundation, because I felt I could do more and more directly in this sense. So I'm raising funds, whether it's by sponsorships or grants and other means, and those dollars come in and we will take a percent to operate. And then the money goes to partners and others to provide a myriad of services from the various partners we have so they can give, so they're paid as a for-profit and they can provide that for free to those suffering from burnout now or at risk tomorrow.
Very important work that you're doing. What struck me is like physician suicide rate is twice as the general population. And I would like to dig a little deeper here, Jodie. What was that one incident that told you that clinician burnout is going to be my passion? What was that incident that gave you that clarity? Was there anything that happened?
Yeah, there are a couple, I'd say, pivotal moments. And what was happening before it doubled the work hours, right? So that's why they work day and night, do callbacks, 10 p.m. on a Sunday. So one was a clinician who took care of a doctor who was taking care of my mother and brother for many years. I would often go with them to be in the room and help for their care. And he just broke down in tears. And I thought this guy was like, he did marathons. I thought of him as that. And he said, I need to quit. I'm thinking about suicide. And I so valued his trust. This is before I even got with Protexa, got into Protexa, but it never left me. And then when I first launched the foundation, I got a call from a resident and, it's like hazing. Let's keep you up for 4 days and nights, but make, life or death decisions while you're at it. Doesn't make sense for anyone. She called and said, it's a big name hospital in New York. I'm not going to name it. She said one of the residents committed suicide. We found her in a closet and the administration's telling us we can't say anything. They're acting like it didn't happen. They don't want anybody to know this, of course. She wouldn't give me her name. I said, can you call me back? I'd like to help you. I didn't hear from her again, but that blew me away. And then I think the last one was I also was contacted by a young woman in 11th grade in high school. And she said, like a magnet school, super smart, said, I really want to be a nurse, but I'm afraid because it doesn't look like a good place to be. I know there's workplace violence. They don't value nurses. I don't want burnout. And so we talked and she began to volunteer a bit and I did what I could to work with her. And so, from younger to older people, those are really hard-hitting, compelling stories. And for me, as a non-clinician, gosh, if I can prevent one practitioner of any type from taking their own lives, that's my way as a non-practitioner to make a difference to save them, for their family, their friends. In the course of a career, a physician may have 3,000 to 5,000 patients. So those are the things that have driven me.
Very emotional stories. I'm still trying to synthesize all those emotional. And I envision that clinician sitting there, and presumably he's also a healthcare or mental health practitioner sitting there and
Yes.
weeping and saying that he's not able to do this anymore.
Well, no, that the doctor taking care of my family earlier, he's a GP, primary care. Insurance company denials of reimbursement that can barely make money, and spend half their staff time on appeals. So it's like a sick care system more than a healthcare system now.
Thank you very much for that, Jodie. Going into a little deeper into your company that you founded, Clinician Burnout Foundation. You have mentioned 2 or 3 times where you deliver tangible results, and it's not just lip service, but it is actually tangible results. What do you mean by that?
What we do is, as I'd said, the business model is simple. So the funding that comes in, we have a wait list of people who've signed up for services, for help that we put directly into their hands. And it could be hospitals, health systems, to individual practitioners, solo practitioners. And then we have a variety of partners. Some is tech, including, AI and other AI, ML, wherever it is on the spectrum, for those who would want something to help slash their hours and, save time and money and get them to rack auditable, reimbursement so they don't have to underbill and so forth. And so we underwrite those things and put them directly into the hands of some, right? So, and in fact, one partner of ours and underwrote a pilot program for them when they were launching. They devised something that's AI driven, digital twins for hospitals so that their technology would be for the hospital executives, and anonymity wise they could identify burnout, but to make sure the CFOs and others board would pay attention, they were able to equate it to dollars lost, right? Like, tell them it's costing you this money. That's $1 million churn for that big surgeon, right? And that matters to you, but also for others. And so helping that through this particular health tech, I thought was brilliant. People say there's burnout and you need to have speakers and a free yoga class or whatever. And we know that's not helping. You can have a chief health and wellness officer and a wellness officer at a health system. That's not helping because they're not empowered, to do anything. But offerings like this with health tech that can frame it for those who really are dollar driven, and look, they're not all evil. It's that they, like the foundation, if we can't be self-sustaining, we can't help anyone. That, I don't want to see hospitals close. So that's one example of putting things directly into the hands of those in need. And that's what I mean by a real solution, because there have been hundreds of millions, literally hundreds of millions, funneled into studies going on, studies and surveys of physician burnout, and only now a handful for nurse burnout. Since the year 2000, I've read hundreds of these. We know it's a problem. We don't need any more data. We know it's a problem. Let's do something about it. And that's where I wanted to put things into people's hands. The Clinician Burnout Foundation on its own is not going to end burnout. There are multiple problems, and there are going to be multiple solutions from the inside out. And I'm approaching it from the outside in as a non-practitioner. But my goal, at least, is to lift the floor. With what we give you, you have more time, you can sleep, you can eat, maybe exercise, not even consider suicide, of course, the worst case, but not quit either. We value you. And so if we can lift the bottom emotionally, hopefully then they can pick their heads up and they might be open to all these other great things out there, but they just can't even hear it right now. They're just too ground down.
And you're bringing out a great point as well. It's not just physicians that you're looking at, you're also looking at the nurses, and nurses go through enormous stress, and it's unbelievable what they do. I have the deep respect for anybody who's in the front line and treating patients. It's such remarkable job that they do, and they need to be taken care of.
They're actually the largest healthcare workforce in the U.S. by far. There are over nearly 5 million nurses versus, a fifth perhaps of other practitioners.
Say I'm a physician or a nurse with and without the help of the Clinician Burnout Foundation. Say I do not have the help and your idea has not been implemented, and then I implement it. How do you think my day-to-day activity is going to change? What is your idealistic goal that as a regular physician, how do you think that lifestyle or that activity is going to change when I implement CBP?
Well, what I'm doing is, and that's a great point, and it's not necessarily health tech, though that's a part of it, because yes, we're here, I gave an example for a larger hospital health system, but really, I also am focusing on everyone in the healthcare ecosystem. I mean, if a custodian doesn't clean the OR, a surgeon can't perform surgery. The surgeons aren't going to sterilize everything. Everybody counts. It really is that old expression, weakest link, right? And some of them, frankly, could get more money flipping burgers than, doing the housekeeping or serving food from the cafeteria. Nobody should be invisible. And so many are. Just quick add is veterinarians are the only clinicians in the world who, let's say, kill their patients. They euthanize animals. And this is, they have the patient of the pet owner and the pet. Their burnout rate is extraordinary. And there's so many like that. Nobody, they just don't think about them. And that's beyond the hospital system. And so to provide things for others, we have Uber as a partner. If you're a resident working a million hours a day, if you're a solo practitioner and you are so exhausted, let us give you a ride. We'll pay for that because we don't want you behind the wheel. We'll deliver food to you. We'll pay for someone to clean your house or pick up your children. So those are things that are available for everyone, whether you practice medicine or not. And then there's that other health tech and other devices that are appropriate for a solo practitioner or a small clinic. You don't have to be a huge system. Also, medical associations, nurse practitioners, and others that we work with to offer our services to their members. And so it's one-to-one or one-to-many of what we can offer.
All right. And you are also involved with Pertaxel Health Tech, which has a Pertax IQ.
Yes.
And is that also something that you are implementing, or is there any other technology that you're thinking about for CBF?
It is it's one of our offerings through CBF. So if we had someone who was interested in that, healthcare system, could be a small practice, then we'll pay for that to the company and they can give that then for free. And that's an overlay. We think of it as an overlay. So it can sit on top of an Epic, a Cerner, NextGen, whatever EHR that practitioner is using, and that gives that Apple, cognitively user-friendly interface. It's going to make the data structured data. It's not causing it or needing any changes from what it sits on top of. It's a layer of software. And there's also now offering it through something called RoboRita. So even for others, if they want to implement that on the go, kind of telecare, that's also available. So there are a lot of ways offering this to simplify things for any clinician. And, whether it's the med tech who brings you in and takes your vitals, the whole support team, the whole clinical team, and for patients as well, so that it's easy for them and through that whole system.
And my next question is, you are involved with for-profit consulting, and you are also involved, it looks like CBF is mostly going to be nonprofit.
Yes, it's a charity.
How do you balance this, and how do you connect the dots, and how do you work with each other, essentially?
Well, I've always been very purpose-driven and believe in doing well while doing good. Through my career, it hasn't always been this way, but as I've been able to shape it more, I had, like with Pertexa Health Tech, doing well while doing good, right? Wanting to do well financially and do good work. And that's what then was my leaping point, a leap of faith in launching the foundation. And it really is intertwined in that I recognize the need for these things, these health tech and innovation and so forth. And so that's why we're funding those things. We'll underwrite those. And I also want to make it broader, as I said, to be on the job, off the job for them, and then anyone in the support, whether it's a facilities manager keeping the lights on in a hospital, the custodian, and so forth. So that's why I wanted to broaden the offering. And that's where I get to bring forth opportunities for others, or I should say direct assistance if we can, as people want that. And we have people now, they're signing up, there's a list, and as we have funding, we say, what would you like? And then we provide that. So I love everything. I'm curious. So I'm constantly working with for-profits and, sometimes compartmentalize, right? Divide your brain in half, but I'm always connecting dots. I always see ways to create economies of scale and leverage things, and also to help others, to grow without needing something in return, but supporting others because it's all boats rising together. I hate that I'm invoking all these trite expressions, but hey, they're still accurate.
I'm going to steal doing well
While doing good.
while doing good. I'm going to steal that because I very much resonate with that.
I know you
I
do.
think
That's why I was excited to talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's so important. Doing good is so important. Doing well when you're doing good is important too. You can do
Yes.
more good if you're doing well.
Yes, exactly. You have to be sustainable. You can't help anyone.
What is the emerging technology that comes to your mind that is going to help impact clinician or healthcare workers' well-being?
Well, I know, it's going to be AI, right, that we're all talking about. But, you know, I think, first of all, it has to be more accurate. And it has to be, so many companies saying we're going to replace nurses. And you know what? No, it's an art and a craft. AI is never going to be able to know that person. They're not just like clinicians aren't automatons, neither are patients. And there's something about the family history and knowing them and perhaps various environmental impacts. They lost their job, divorce. AI can never do that. So I think accelerating things like drug development and yes, perhaps, making inventory decisions, supply decisions, boy, COVID, no PPE, right? AI can do amazing things. I welcome it. I welcome it when it's better and we don't have hallucinations. And yes, EHRs, like electronic health records, for sure. I think there's so much, but too many people, I keep reading these articles, will replace those who provide the treatment. That's terrifying to me. And so I'm all for innovation, but only when it's used appropriately.
Only when it is used appropriately, and especially in healthcare.
Yes.
This is last but one question for you. What is the advice you'd give for people who are just getting into health tech area or and who are trying to innovate something new and trying to address a problem? What would be your advice to them?
No, it's very vast. It's very niche. So whatever is of interest to that person, there are startups everywhere and they're lean and mean and they really welcome someone else. And when you're in a startup, you learn so much because you need to do so much. There's nothing like that in my mind. Nimble, quick, you can attempt all kinds of things. It doesn't have to be AI, certainly. There's so many kinds of things when we're talking health tech. Obviously, larger companies too, but I think that's just my personal thing because I'm also very big on startups and I've really worked with so much, including with the United Nations on a campaign, but it was kind of a startup mentality to bring to that. And I just love that you have to wear many hats. You get to do a lot. You get to work alongside big brains. And it's very exciting to me. And then you can take that. And then if you want to, certainly, well, you can help grow it. Maybe you exit. I don't know. But that also, I think, strengthens who you are as a great candidate and asset for other things. So I'm not pushing that, but I just think that's the best way to enter the field.
That's awesome, Jody. Great advice, and I will take it to heart. All right, thank you. And as a final question, what is that last message that we may not have covered adequately during this podcast that you want to leave us all with? So the question is an open question. You can take this last question and answer. It can be a pitch for your company. It can be an advice. It can be just about anything that you think is important for the audience to hear.
I welcome anyone who wants to contribute monetarily or volunteer. Frankly, if they're practicing medicine or they're innovating, to want to partner so we can support that. Because, if it's specific to helping reduce burnout in some way, that's all I'm going to say for that. To me, it's always the question of why. Why are we doing this? Or, don't have imposter syndrome, right? Why not me? Why not? Go out there. You're talking about innovators. Well, innovators are entrepreneurs, right? And so, and if not me, then who? Someone else is going to do it. So if you've even pushed through the fear and embrace it. Look, we are all uneasy when we set forth, and maybe it won't work. But there are a lot of lessons learned from those stumbles. I don't even call them failures. I call them, learning on the job, right? That you could take with you to the next thing. And the other thing really that a lot of people don't necessarily think about specifically in tech is emotional intelligence, because the best founders and leaders know it's not just IQ, but EQ, because people don't just remember what you tell them, they remember how you make them feel. And I think too often that's not the case, and especially if you have a new company and you're pitching it, whether it's investors or for sales, we do all this cool stuff. and here's some benefits. But they are pitched. There are a lot of people like that out there, and how do you break through the noise? It's not just being sincere and hopefully not fake sincerity. I can see through it, but it's that emotional intelligence. It's the empathy. It's acknowledging the importance and the purpose. And then you make all those, a lot of people say, oh, it's the people who matter in my company. Well, don't make that lip service, right? Really, really hear them and listen to them, and don't make them feel like widgets. So those are the things I think about.
Thank you very much, Jodie, for this great advice. You're
Thank
saying
you.
be empathetic and be brave. That's path forward to do the right thing and doing well while doing good. So I truly, truly appreciate your time and your advice, Jodie, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you. And again, thank you very much as we come close.
Thank you very much, Pasa. This has been a wonderful experience. Thank you. This has been a lovely conversation and hopefully helpful to others.
Yes, it is going to be. It has already been helpful. I can tell you that, and it will be helpful to more people. Thank you very much.
Thank you.